Introduced in Update 1.6, releasing on the 25th of March 2014, secret coins were added to Geometry Dash. Although in today's episode we're not looking at the history, we're looking at the gameplay. We're going to be ranking every single RobTop secret coin to see which one is the most difficult. Coming in last place we have base after base with its very first coin. This one should be unanimously agreed upon to be the easiest coin in the game. Not only do you not even have to play, but the coin itself reveals itself quite early on. There's no surprises here. Dash's third coin may be creative, but in terms of gameplay, it's extremely lackluster. After completing the countdown sequence, synchronized with the music, if you spam, you summon the coin. Pretty simple. Base after base's third coin is a prime example of a lot of these being interchangeable. You're meant to tell me that I just hold? That's it? That Stereo Madness with coin 1 obviously finds itself down here. It's the very first coin ever added to a RobTop level. Super simple. Back on track with its third coin, once again, super simplistic, introducing us to a recurring theme in RobTop's secret coins, being alternate pathways. Electroman Adventures with its first coin, although very smart with how RobTop introduces the player to destructible block gameplay, showcases the potential issue with this level, being that every single one of its coins is the easier pathway as of just going the normal route. I've spoken about this in the past though. Dash's first coin, gameplay wise, once again is very simplistic, proving to us that this level's forefront was creativity rather than sheer gameplay when it comes to the secret coins. Clubstep's first coin isn't just easy, it's probably the best example within RobTop's levels of players voluntarily choosing, time after time again, the secret coin route because it makes the gameplay that much more enjoyable, therefore easier. Back on track with its second coin can definitely argue to be earlier within this ranking, but because it's the ship, I have to add some factors here. Cube gameplay versus ship, no question. Ship's more difficult. The difficulty of Dryout's second coin is just at face value thinking that this isn't even possible to obtain, mainly if you're a new player. Known for having a gravity portal flipped for some reason the wrong way, Back on Track's first coin is just a prime example of not playing the game and still getting rewarded for it. Some of these coins can be so similar that Poltergeist with its second coin is higher than the other ones just because of this one jump, that's all it took. Okay, so for Hexagon Force coin 1, we're gonna have some issues here, because my whole life I just thought that I understood the timing here to get the first coin, until I realized it's impossible to die here. What's the point? Stereo Madness with its second coin is the exact same gameplay as Dryout with its second coin, but just the follow-up being slightly more difficult. The difficulty for Can't Let Go's first coin is just remembering when you stop playing the game, because it's another instance of auto gameplay. Time Machine's first coin is our first instance of timing our jumps so we can actually get to a secret coin. Once again though, still super simplistic and at the very beginning of the level. I always found Time Machine's third coin to be a bit awkward. We're off the screen for so long, so once we eventually do land, I'm a bit caught off guard on what could come next. And in this instance, unlike earlier coins, we actually have to have somewhat of a fast reflex. I'm a fan of Dryout's first coin. I like that it spices things up. This time we have to hold when we deter off the original pathway going off of what's originally off screen. It's nice for a change. Repetition with all these types of coins is whatever, but to do something that makes me still have to think, fair play. Woo! We just got introduced to the spider baby. What the f is that? With Finger Dash and its first coin, it's shock value, because after one practice attempt, you understand if I tap, my spider moves. Wow. Cycles with its first coin isn't difficult. This is just awkward. As a new player, I definitely have to hear people out. You may think that you have to press later or earlier, but once again, I'm pretty confident in everyone watching this video that after one death, you got this in the bag. Theory of Everything coin 3 is very simplistic. As a kid, I used to think that this was a bit more action-packed until I realized that to obtain the coin, you just jump off the traditional pathway the first earliest moment that you can. I would also like to give a lot of credit to Theory of Everything, because my whole life I didn't realize how obvious it was that this saw's missing, so now I'm getting my eyes tested. Poltergeist with its first coin and Jumper with its third are extremely similar in the build-up, the execution, and what follows up afterwards. The only reason that they're higher than the previously discussed coins is because it's ship gameplay, but you're completely right to think that these are even easier. Even in a level like Clutterfunk, it can still have easy coins. We find this with its second one, another instance where the alternate pathway with the coin is easier than the original. Despite being the final coin on one of RobTop's most difficult levels, it just doesn't hold that type of standard. This is extremely easy. Although it follows up from RobTop's most iconic choke point, the coin itself is so easy that I won't even use that as a factor here. With a total of 4 inputs, the secret coin way being easily the better pathway than the original, and realistically, the only criticism that you'll really have is the final jump not being set in stone and being a possible timing, but I just don't see that either. Jumper may not be that much more difficult, but it's a bit more busy when it comes to the gameplay, and you actually have to have reflexes. Is this anything out of the ordinary? No, but it's something that the previous ones haven't really had. Electroman Adventures and its third coin is once again a segment potentially looking difficult, at least to inexperienced players. Although, as I'm sure we all know, thanks to the ball not going directly down like we'd see with the spider, it actually makes gameplay like this extremely easy. How does the community receive Can't Let Go's second coin? Are we valuing this? Is this precision enough to the point where this coin should have been further in the episode? Although due to the fact that you can hold off, and due to the fact that this is a case of gameplay looking more difficult than it actually is, I think I'm okay with it being here. I could be off here though. Geometrical Dominator at first glance with its second coin could look difficult, or where we have a minor adjustment here in what's referred to as a precise game mode, but it feels fantastic. It feels natural. Not only a nod to the game mode itself here being the robot, but the coin spot. I think that this is always fun to grab. Geometrical Dominator with its first coin is very simplistic. This can confuse players, by all means, but gameplay wise, please, this is nothing. And unlike even the previous coin that we spoke about, we show no precision here. These jumps are quite lengthy. I doubt that anyone would have quite a lot of struggle with them after a couple of practices. For Electroman Adventures and its second coin, I still believe that this is the easier pathway than going through the intended path. That could be argued, but because we're talking about coins, I think that still having to be precise as the mini ship is going to give the broad audience of Geometry Dash quite some trouble. Similar to Can't Let Go's, we have Dryer with coin number 3. Not too much different, but it just simply amplifies the amount of precision that we need to have to get the coin. Hexagon Force coin 2 is pretty easy, I'll be honest. I can appreciate having to keep a low profile to the ground. Who knows, maybe some inexperienced players when it comes to precision in the ship could just all of a sudden nosedive, they get confused, their fingers sore, those little things. But the space here, it's too wide. You can hold on the top with the ship, you won't die. There's not too much to take away here. Electrodynamics encases factors of precision, this time making sure that you're getting your orb timings and your exit jump right. And if we're factoring in the follow-up for these coins, this one's absolutely brutal, because as a lot of you would know, it's the 3 times ship. Base After Base's second coin is an extremely memorable coin for me because precision, we've heard it all in today's episode, but how it's done here, I love it. Listen, it's not too much, this is an early iteration of RobTop's levels, I'm self-aware, but I like it. It looks difficult. Listen, this isn't the most difficult thing in the world. Looks harder than it is. But I mean, still, it's fun. I have a lot of takeaways here. I'm a fan. Cycles with its third coin can be compact and overwhelming, and I really appreciate the coin when it comes to the value that Cycles has. This level introduced the ball, and it wasn't afraid to show you both dynamics, with high travel times and short travel times, especially with these coins. Blast Processing, coin 1. If you're playing RobTop's levels in order, yeah, you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to skip out on this coin. You're being introduced to wave gameplay, duel, for the very first time. Although if we take away the duel, we can see, just with one wave, this is really easy. It's just more of a distraction than anything else. Hexagon Force Coin 3. I was hesitant on placing it this high up on the list, even though we're not near the end yet, but factors do point it in this direction. If you've beat the level, the difficulty of this coin drastically wears off. You don't care about 100%, you're already there. But if you haven't beat the level yet, or you at least haven't beat it with all coins, especially this one, the difficulty ramps up. Electrodynamics is one of RobTop's best cases of having to play a coin to really understand what's happening, and it's really all to do here with the UFO. How the UFO works and widely how it's designed is it's always going to be a click pattern, and that's what you have to understand for this coin. Blast processing and its second coin is pretty interesting, and I'm not too sure where to place it on today's ranking, but I think I'm happy with it here. Rather than a click pattern, your jumps are just evenly spaced out, and on top of that, the gameplay itself is out of the ordinary. Because I'm not familiar with this type of gameplay realistically at all, every single online level I've played, it hasn't quite replicated gameplay quite like this. I may be able to get this coin consistently, I still have to think about what exactly is going on. Geometrical Dominator and its third coin is a great example of how a lot of previous coins just couldn't replicate this sort of difficulty. Where on the other hand, for a level like Geometrical Dominator, we can get a bit more busy. We're going underwater, the actual platforms are moving, this is completely different. Blast processing and its third coin is quite interesting. We actually have no time to straighten out our ship here because we can just therefore hold our head on the ceiling. So then all that comes into play here is the adjustment period prior. Because a lot of these coins are similar within their difficulties, I have to get quite specific on my reasoning here. I don't want an unjustified list of just random selections, that would be lazy. So for a matchup where both showcase similar characteristics to each other, I'm going to have to side with something that makes me think a bit more. Coins at this point moving forward are going to be getting a bit more difficult, starting here with X-Step and its third coin. Two big factors come into play here with this very first timing to enter this sequence, and then we also have, instead of an auto segment thanks to a portal, we have a timed blue orb. On top of that, the follow-up for the gameplay is instant, being that it follows up with more orb gameplay. Deadlocked and its first coin is easily, out of RobTop's selection, the most creative coin. In terms of the difficulty, it's all to do with this mini ship trying to avoid moving objects, as we get this key at the very top of the screen to unlock platforms later on in the level. And can I be honest, my whole reasoning for it to be this high on the list so far is only because of this precise mini-ship timing. I always find this awkward, I always find myself coming up short when it comes to obtaining it. The follow-up afterwards for this coin, you know, the sections in between, that's no justification at all, that's just playing the level, that's not a part of the coin here, it's more so the creativity in terms of the break in between. I was really torn on where to place Theory of Everything 2, Coin 1, because the follow-up afterwards is something that haunts players in terms of replayability for Theory of Everything 2. On top of the fact that, as a whole, this is one of RobTop's most iconic sections in terms of confusing the casual audience. A lot of people just have no idea what's going on right now, it's a lot to digest. But once you break this down, using practice mode, understanding what's at play here, obtaining this coin isn't that hard. After going upside down, you hold only just for a little bit because these blocks can't kill you, and then you keep on letting go because you'll just fall back into the normal gravity portal. So realistically, take your eyes off of the coin, it's what follows up afterwards into the transition for the UFO ball and onwards. Theory of everything, coin 1. There's nothing else to say here besides the fact that I think the timing for the UFO is awkward. I'm not going to continually say the same thing now. Time machine, coin 2. Justifiably some people's most hated coin in the game, but I'm here just to say I don't struggle with it too much. I'm not saying it's a skill issue, I'm trying to look at this objectively. I always felt that the gap was lenient. It wasn't anything too crazy. Holding and then adjusting afterwards never felt out of the ordinary, and because the coins at the beginning of this ship segment going in reverse introduced in Time Machine, I actually think that this makes this easier. Being able to remember, practicing the level, that it's at the beginning will have you more prepared. It's not like it's in the middle or the third, some weird timing. Definitely could have had this one even earlier on the list. I'm not arguing later on the list here, it's probably the highest that I would realistically want to place this. Now because this is a spaced out click pattern, it's your composure that's in question here for continuing throughout the level. Honestly, when it comes to playing club step, I favor this coin route. It feels better. I spam on the ceiling, I space out jumps, then I continue with the level. Could just be me though. Can't Let Go with its third coin is one of my favorite fakes in terms of the original set list of Geometry Dash levels. Every single time I play Can't Let Go, getting this footage, I have to remind myself it's not this platform, it's the one block cube space that we can jump on to then continue and getting the coin. This is a really well done coin, I'm a fan of this one. Deadlock's third coin, it's a UFO, so it's going to be a timing. This one, once again, I apologize for the lack of commentary here, is going to come down to how fast you can adapt to not your personal play style, but the more optimal route. That's all these click patterns realistically are. Deadlock's second coin has always stuck out to me, and I'm going to once again favor the robot in terms of what I consider difficult. Because this section's high clicks per second with how it's designed, have it be the spacing between orbs or just the jump sequences that we get hit with, there's limited room for error here. If you hold for too long, it's going to mess up your order completely. And if you click too slow, you're not even going to make it past any of the orbs. With X-Step's first coin, it puts an emphasis on forced precision. If you end up getting this coin, there's no way you're not cutting it close with the structures here unless you try on purpose to counteract that claim. In terms of coins, where you're playing as the ship and it's at the top of the screen surrounded by an assortment of objects, Clutterfunk with its first coin is definitely one of the most difficult. And I guess I wasn't wrong as a kid, because in terms of learning Geometry Dash for the very first time, this made Clutterfunk, on top of the pre-existing difficulty, one of the least desirable coins to collect in the game. People have always argued that X-Step's second coin is easier than it's realistically made out to be by a large portion of the community. I think that going through this initial gap, yes, this one input continuous hold makes this much easier, but this spacing can get me from time to time, and I know that I'm not alone on this. Now, when I first used to imagine Jumper and its first coin, I used to imagine it as something a bit more difficult than it actually is. The precision involved, it's a one block spacing. Some people shrug this off, they don't care for it. Me personally, I do. You're upside down, it's a one block space, and you're the ship. A lot of precision's involved here. Cycles with its second coin, yeah, it's definitely difficult, no debate, but it's out of my top 10. I don't find this to be the end of the world. How I've made this coin easier for myself over time is by understanding that because we're upside down, we can use a lot of the game's natural momentum. I think people need to put a bit more respect on cycles and this coin, showcasing the importance that no, you don't need to give an input at every single given opportunity. We enter the top 10 with Clutterfunk and its third coin. Where the minicube here and gameplay is much more action-packed, with our clicks per second being on full display. We first of all have to remember with these orb timings which one to avoid, because then we'll drop down to the bottom of the screen. We keep the gameplay going, with the clicks per second being extremely consistent, being that we have to react as fast as possible. Finger Dash and its second coin, I have it here at the 9th spot because I think it's the game's best display of straight flying. We're not in the middle of the screen the whole time because the actual action of obtaining the secret coin is at the top of the screen. So we straight fly at the top of the screen, have to keep composure, readjust, and and then do it all again. I think that compared to previous coins, there's a lot going for Finger Dash with its second coin here for why it should be. I don't like making videos that age poorly. I hate that type of content, but I'm afraid that this type of decision could age poorly. Something that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about are these minor adjustments that you have to make with the swing, either to just complete the level or to get a secret coin like what we're discussing right now. My point being is if you have to click rapidly here, oddly enough, like you're readjusting a ship or a wave, it's replicating the exact same type of difficulty. This segment is designed outside of the secret coin to be extremely accessible. RobTop doesn't want to deter the player away from a brand new mode. But oddly enough, in a result of doing this for the secret coin, when you make this double click minor adjustment to position yourself properly to make it through this gap, it's a long waiting time to see if you've really gotten it. Now that's obviously a big deal, but nothing comes close to the factor that I'm just simply not familiar with the mode. That's why it's up so high. In the 7th spot, I think that's Stereo Madness with coin number 3, despite still being one of the most difficult coins in the game, is looking way more busy than it really has to be, obviously to trick you into thinking the difficulty is much more. After we make it through the hole in the ceiling, we're holding, we're letting go, we're holding, we're letting go, and then we have a straight fly. Then after that, we get faced with 3 levels of platforming, where almost as if we're the cube, we slowly jump upwards. Then the only input is to just keep on holding, because you'll collect the coin and then complete the level. Now my reasoning for Theory of Everything 2, coin 2, being this high up is attributed to not only my personal experience, but something that I heard YouTuber GD Colin mention as well when he reviewed the secret coins. In terms of obtaining the coin, yes, this is a timing. You have to time, deterring off the original pathway. But in terms of real-time gameplay, I find myself guessing more than banking on my actual skill and knowledge of timings within the game. Clubstep and its third coin kicks off the top 5, and people aren't going to be happy with this. Reasons why people potentially would have this coin lower on this ranking would be because after you grab the coin, it's autopilot. You can hold on this ceiling, drop down, and then hold on another ceiling. That's Stereo Madness level gameplay. So therefore, going on to the positives on why this is ranked 5th on my list would be the weight that it holds, being at the very end of a RobTop demon, on top of the fact that the gameplay prior is difficult. Being at such a crucial point of the level, precision with mini-ship gameplay is one thing for the mass audience of Geometry Dash, but to execute it in this type of scenario is pretty next level. Electrodynamics and its third coin finds itself 4th on my ranking, and we have a lot of factors to take in here. Firstly, we're carrying a 3x speed, and not only to enter this third coin segment, but we've been carrying it since the iconic mini ship portion. The first segment's using factors that we've already seen in this video, like 1 block segments deterring off the original pathway thanks to skipping out on an orb. All in one motion, we have to skip an orb, slide on a platform, jump on a 1 block space, being an upside down pad, into another 1 block platform, into an upside down orb, still continuing by getting hit with nerfed quadruple spikes, the first time that we've ever seen that in RobTop's levels and potentially the only time, partnered in with the previously mentioned 3x speed that we've been carrying from this mini ship segment. It's a classic case. If you have it higher, fair enough, and if you have it lower, I would like to know why, because I'm questioning that. Poltergeist with its third coin finds itself 3rd on my list, and honestly, I could have dropped it even lower. I've been found publicly overrating this coin on a previous YouTube short, and that's honestly a part of the reason why we've come together and made this video. All this is fundamentally is 1 awkward timing, an orb jump in the air that you can then simultaneously keep holding that input so then you can skip the initial jump afterwards. Although I gotta tell you, and I'll I'll completely be honest, this jump for me is a major skill issue. I struggle on this here. The second hardest coin in all of RobTop's levels would be Finger Dash and its third coin, and I'll just like to give some credit here to this coin in particular. Without a doubt, would this coin be in the top 3 most creative coins that we've seen from RobTop, if not the most? It's also, to many, a top 3 most difficult coin. In terms of the gameplay, it's super interesting. We're here to collect 10 miniature golden coins to then allow the main secret coin to stay upwards. If not, it's going to fall back down. And if we take an in-detail look at this, when it comes to the golden coins here, I'm arguing for at least 5 of them to be a mental adjustment within my gameplay. This isn't my normal wave movement. As the gameplay suggests, focusing on 10 individual factors to then inevitably get the secret coin is super difficult compared to what we've just spoken about. But with that all said, I'm basic. Theory of Everything and its second coin, I think will always be my number 1 most difficult. We're given just enough space here, arguably, to straighten out our ship, but honestly, by the time I'm well under these spikes, I'm still trying to do that. A lot of coins in today's video have been a combination of many factors, but when coins specifically focus on one factor, it gets the difficulty out of them unlike anything else.